Do shepherds herd sheep in December? The Watchtower Society says, these mountains trap most of the water vapor rising from the Mediterranean Sea. Therefore, little rain falls on the gentle but bare limestone slopes on the eastern side. The exceptions are the winter months of November and December. Grass grows then, which makes it possible to graze flocks of sheep. This is what the Polish edition of the Watchtower of November 1, 1989, says on page 16 of an article in the series Images of the Promised Land. The article is titled Barren but Fascinating Judean Desert. Thus, the Watchtower Society not only admitted that it was possible to graze sheep in December, but also that in some areas it was only possible in winter. Evidently, the lower temperature was no problem for the shepherds, even in such a remote place as the Judean desert. The Bible, describing Saul's pursuit of David hiding in this desert, writes in the 1 Samuel 24 chapter of verse 3. He finally reached the stone sheepfold, by the road where was the cave, and Saul followed his need while David and his men sat in the farthest parts of the cave. So there was a sheepfold in that desert. This is additional evidence pointing to the grazing of sheep in the winter, since grass grew only in this barren area during this period. The account in the Gospel of Luke tells of the birth of Yeshu, popularly called Jesus, but I will use the term Yeshu. Luke chapter 2 chapter 8 verse in the New World Translation we read. In the same country there were also shepherds, who lived in the open air and kept their flocks by night. Jehovah's Witnesses translated a certain Greek word, in the open air. It is possible that the translation under the open sky is to reinforce the impression that it could not have been during the winter. Today, few people can imagine that you can sleep in the open air, and even more so in winter. But who said they were asleep? Exactly. The Bible tells us that they watched over the flocks at night, or kept watch. Similarly, the watch was committed on ramparts, watchtowers, and it didn't matter if it was summer or winter, such a job. Let us remember that in the vicinity of Bethlehem the conditions for grazing were much better than in the Judean desert. The animals could be grazed all year round, and in winter the vegetation was even more luxuriant than in summer thanks to the rain. The exception was the Judean desert, where grazing was possible only in winter. But if there is water, but the temperature is too low, nothing will grow either. In Poland, vegetation wakes up only in April, so if we read that grazing sheep in Israel winter, it means that their winter would have to be at least as warm as our April or warmer. It can't be colder, because the vegetation of plants would simply be impossible. According to Wikipedia, the current average temperature in January in Israel is 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. All this talk about winter in Israel would be unnecessary if Jehovah's Witnesses didn't say that Christ couldn't have been born during that time because of the winter. This is not true.